Okay, I'm confused now. I was told to expect a lot of sand on today's episode. So I've got my shades, I've got my beach towel, I've got my bucket and spade. So where is it? Hello everybody, welcome to the Re-Review, the series where I get to replay and reassess games from my favourite gaming era. I'm Brian, also known as UKGN Zoidberg, and I don't like my food spicy. This series is all about taking old Amiga games, looking into the people who made them, and then finding out what the magazines thought of them at the time of their release. Finding out how well, or not, games from 30 plus years ago have aged has yielded some very interesting results. I hope that you find it as enjoyable as I do, delving into the history of some of the most well-known games from the 90s. In today's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at a game that is often cited as kickstarting an entire genre. That game is Dune 2: The Battle for Arrakis, which was published by Virgin Games and developed by Westwood Studios in 1993. If you Google what was the first RTS game ever released, you'll actually find some conflicting opinions online. Some will cite Herzog's Vi on the Mega Drive from 1990, whereas others will go all the way back to the early 1980s and games like Utopia and Sea Battle. What a lot of people seem to agree on, though, is the importance of Dune 2 in making the genre as popular as it is today. RTS, of course, stands for real-time strategy, a genre that requires players to think on their feet whilst at the same time balancing multiple systems. Most strategy games released in the 80s and 90s took a turn-based approach. Dune 2's designer, Brett Sperry, actually lists a very unlikely source as the main inspiration for the game, the dungeon crawl RPG, Eye of the Beholder. Sperry, alongside Lewis Castle, founded Westwood Associates in 1983, and they spent much of their early years converting 8-bit games to 16-bit systems. On the Amiga, they were responsible for Battletech, Dragon Strike, as well as the multi-event sports title from Epic's, World Games. During the development of their first big success, the previously mentioned Eye of the Beholder, Sperry began to wonder whether it would be possible to combine that game's real-time elements with resource management, as well as the world building of Bullfrog's Populace. When Virgin Games picked up the rights to Frank Herbert's Dune in 1990, Westwood were one of two studios actually approached to make a game. The first was an adventure game produced by French developer Cryo and would be released in early 1992. That turned out to be just a few short months before Westwood's game, and although they are based on the same source material, the two games couldn't be more different. Cryo's game was more of an adventure game with some minor strategic elements, where you interacted with all the characters from the book, with the look taken from David Lynch's 1984 movie adaptation. Westwood's game retained a similar graphical style, but the gameplay was very different, and actually would go on to define the studio's output for much of the next decade. Base building, resource management, and training your troops would all become essential ingredients for the Command & Conquer series, which first released on the PC in 1995. The EA-published title would be a commercial smash and went on to become one of the most influential games of the 90s. Despite all the clones, copycats, and shameless rip-offs, Command & Conquer would remain the market leader through multiple sequels and spin-offs. In fact, I would argue that Red Alert 2 is the best RTS game ever released. In 1998, Westwood would actually release a sequel/remake of Dune 2 for the PC. Released as Dune 2000, the reviews were mixed, with most people criticising the gameplay for being too simplistic when you compared it to other PC strategy games at the time. A year later, it hit the PlayStation, and confusingly lost the 2000 part of the title, and if anything, the PlayStation reviews were even less kind. That didn't stop them from producing a final game in the series, Emperor Battle for Dune, which came out on the PC in 2001. Their last few games, Command & Conquer Renegade, Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat, Earth and Beyond, and Command & Conquer Generals, were all ended up being commercial disappointments, and Electronic Arts ended up closing the studio down in 2003. Some of the team went on to form Petroglyph Studios, who made Universe at War for Sega, whereas the rest of the team were merged into EA Los Angeles and went on to make Command & Conquer 4 Tiberium Twilight in 2010. Now though, let's go back to 1993 and see what the magazines had to say about Dune 2 when it came out. Back in the 90s, Amiga Power earned a bit of a reputation for being overly harsh with their reviews. I personally think that this is not true. They were simply the only magazine that used the entirety of the percentage scale. Whereas other magazines would give an average game 70 to 80%, in Amiga Power, that same game would get 40 to 50. When they liked a game though, they made sure that you knew it. And for the first time since I started making these videos, theirs is the highest score that was given. In their August 1993 issue, they gave Dune 2 91%, and said that it was a fun and absorbing strategy game that you would be able to enjoy whether you liked the source material or not. The rest of the review scores were not as high as you would have thought for a game with Dune 2's reputation. It got 90% from Amiga Format and the One Amiga, 89% from Multi-Format Magazine Computer and Video Games, 88% from Amiga Action, and then going down to 85% from CU Amiga and a very lowly 81% from Amiga Computing. From 7 reviews, the average score was 87.7%. What's interesting to note is that in most cases, when the game was re-released on budget 3 years later, the magazines that still existed at that time all gave it a much higher score second time around, including a 94% from Amiga Format. On the Lemon Amiga website, it currently sits at number 3 on their all-time top 100 Amiga games, with a user score of 8.91 from 318 votes. Over 2/3 of the votes that have been given out are either a 9 or a 10 out of 10. Now though, it's time for the playtest. Let's boot the game up and see what I think of it. So you get this nice animated intro just setting the scene. So anybody who is not familiar with the movies or the books gets an idea of what's going on. So when you click on play game, you get to choose which one of the 3 houses you want to take control of. So I think we should just be the Atreides house. So this introduces you to who the house is, and then asks you whether you want to proceed. So I'll click yes. And so this is my Mentat, who is my advisor. So for this opening level, all we have to do is produce 1,000 credits. Very simple. And you earn credits by building a refinery and harvesting spice. So this is it. You can click on the Mentat in the top corner and give you all the information about everything that you need to know. So you can look for some advice. First, build a 2x2 group of concrete slabs is what it's advising me to do. So let's do that.
Construction complete. Construction complete.
Because of the terrain, you have to build these concrete slabs first before you put a building onto them. If you were to just build the building straight away, the building would be in need of repair straight away as soon as you built it. So let's build a wind trap. What we can do is we can also click on these units and guide them around. So click move, and they will explore the area for you.
Acknowledge. Enemy unit approaching.
Oh, an enemy unit has been spotted.
Yes, sir.
You can actually do keyboard shortcuts. And it is literally just the first letter of each word. So just keep it nice and simple. So if I click on that unit and press M, that's how I move him to a different area. Press A to attack.
Yes, sir.
and this will take up 6 spaces. But I'm not going to bother with the concrete slabs for this one. I'm just going to build it straight away and then repair it, I think. The sooner I get to mining the spice, the better.
Construction complete.
So this is my harvester. And these little red areas are the areas of spice on the map.
Yes, sir.
I'll continue moving my units around just to uncover more of the map. It's up to 19%, 25%. There we go. So if I click on return, that will now go and deposit any spice that it has in it. And that should hopefully finish the level for me. Yep, there you go. That's taken me over 1,000. I have successfully completed the mission. So that's the nice, easy opening level. Just teaching you the basics of how to mine spice and construct buildings. So now that opening level is out of the way, it will now explain how the game is going to work. So there are all of these areas on the planet, and your goal is to conquer them all. So the High Command now requires that I produce 2,700 credits in this level. Right, so let's get the wind trap made as soon as possible.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Right, there's a little bit of spice down there on the left, so
Construction complete.
what I think I can build on this level as well is a radar unit,
Construction complete.
which will give me far more information about the actual terrain.
Complete.
Yeah, which will give me far more information about the terrain on this world. Right, so radar outpost, but the spice refinery is more important. Let's get that built.
Construction complete.
Okay, so as you can see, I now have a more detailed mini-map in the bottom right, thanks to my radar. But let's get that repaired. You can definitely tell that this was an early game in this in the real-time strategy genre, because there's a few more quality of life improvements that they made on games like Command and Conquer.
Enemy unit approaching.
More enemy units coming.
Yep. Enemy unit destroyed. Enemy unit destroyed. Acknowledged.
Where is the enemy base? It's up there. Right, okay.
Acknowledged. Enemy unit destroyed.
Unfortunately, you also can't
Construction.
you also can't queue multiple units to be built.
Acknowledged. Enemy unit destroyed. Enemy unit destroyed.
But again, that's also a
Yes, sir.
a giveaway sign that this is the first of its kind, or one of the first of its kind at least. And now my wind trap has been destroyed as well, so oh dear. We are witnessing my demise here.
Yes, sir.
Oh no, they've destroyed my my tank construction yard now.
Enemy unit destroyed.
Oh yes, look at all these soldiers that are coming down now. Well, I think that's going to be where I'm going to end this playtest before my buildings start blowing up before your eyes. But this is really enjoyable, really well made. Let's move on to the final summary and the re-review itself. Okay, it's time for a little confession. I had little to no interest in playing Dune 2 when it first released. As somebody who had played one too many boring strategy games, the idea of playing another one made this a very easy game for me to skip. It wasn't until years later, after becoming a fan of the likes of Command & Conquer and Warzone, that I actually sat down to play it. I'm a firm believer in what separates a truly great game from those that are merely good, are that game's ability to appeal to people who wouldn't normally give the game a second glance. I struggle to enjoy games like Civilization or Populous because of the sheer amount of reading material that comes with each one. Dune 2, however, is very easy to pick up and play, even for a strategy novice like me. Thanks to a completely optional advice system, you'll be building your base and mining spice in no time. The opening level actually gives you very little opposition to your efforts. It's also got a really simple to use interface, complete with easy to remember keyboard shortcuts, so you won't spend half your time in menus. The only real issues with the game are minor and symptoms of the time that the game was made. It lacks many of the quality of life improvements that subsequent RTS games introduced, like the ability to select multiple units at once. I also can't really complain about how brown the game is and about how every level looks the same. It's Dune, for heaven's sake. Obviously everything's going to be covered in sand. Thankfully though, all of your units are well presented and easy to recognise at a glance. There aren't that many games in the Retro Game Super League for this video, simply because I haven't played most of them. Of the ones that I have played though, Dune 2 easily sits right at the top, just below Blue Bites the Settlers. Whether you want to play it from a historical perspective just to see how the RTS genre has evolved, or you're a fan of the source material, it's still a fantastic and accessible strategy game, and it's an easy one for me to recommend. 9 out of 10. So that wraps up another episode of the re-review. If you remember playing Dune 2, or maybe you still play it, please let me know your feelings about the game in the comments. All opinions expressed in this video are my own, and it's perfectly fine if you disagree with everything that I've said. If you're new to the channel and this series, why not check out the full playlist of previous episodes, where you can see me talk about games such as Cannon Fodder, Vroom and Project X. That full playlist should be on screen about now. You can also show your support for the channel in many different ways. Simply liking this video will let YouTube know that you want to see more of them, whereas subscribing will also make sure that you don't miss out on any new episodes as soon as we upload them. You can also become a VIP member for just $1.99 a month, and that will grant you access to all of my new Amiga videos as soon as they're uploaded, rather than having to wait until Friday. You'll also get exclusive access to longer versions of the First Impressions videos that we now post on a Monday. All the details of how you can become a VIP are in the video description. I'll be back with another episode of the re-review in 2 weeks' time, and don't forget, I now also live stream every Tuesday at noon as well. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, happy retro gaming everybody. Bye for now.